Evan Parker wasn't the kind of man who enjoyed unexpected plans. Yet, there he was, stepping out of a rideshare into the cold Seattle evening because Mia Winters had asked him to. The air carried a faint smell of rain, mixed with the warm scent drifting from nearby cafes. Downtown lights shimmered on the wet pavement. He should have gone home after work, but her voice from earlier replayed in his mind light. Playful, yet hiding something he couldn't name. "Come on, Evan, it's just a club," she had said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "You've been stressed for weeks. One night out won't ruin you." He had agreed because saying no to her had never been easy. Mia wasn't just a friend. She was the person who always knew how to pull him out of his shell, how to make him laugh even when he didn't feel like it, how to turn the dull days into something that felt warm. And even if he never said it out loud, she had a place in his heart that no one else had filled. But tonight, as he studied the building she invited him to, something felt off. The place didn't look like a club. No neon signs. No heavy bass vibrating through the walls. Instead, a small golden symbol hung above a dark wooden door. Elegant, old-fashioned, almost mysterious. The windows glowed with soft amber light. And the quiet hum inside didn't match the noisy places Mia usually dragged him to when she wanted him to live a little. He took a breath and stepped inside. The moment he crossed the doorway, he stopped. This wasn't a club at all. The warm lighting made the room feel more like a private event than a Friday night out. A cello played softly on a small stage near the back, producing slow, emotional notes that wrapped around the room like a soft blanket. People sat in small, comfortable groups, talking quietly, sipping drinks, and listening. No crowded dance floor. No flashing lights. No upbeat music. Everything felt intimate, almost secret. Evan felt out of place. This wasn't his world, and it didn't look like Mia's either. But when he spotted her standing near the center, all his confusion paused for a moment. Mia wasn't laughing or chatting the way she normally did. She wasn't trying to grab attention or cracking a joke. She stood calmly, almost thoughtfully, wearing a simple dark blue dress that suited her more than anything fancy ever had. She looked different tonight, not in a dramatic way, but in the quiet sense that something inside her had shifted. She noticed him and smiled, but it wasn't a carefree smile. It was relieved, like she had been waiting for him and wasn't sure he would come. "You made it," she said when she reached him. Her voice was soft, controlled, but he sensed tension under it. She was holding a small white envelope in her hand, and her fingers curled around it as if she didn't want him to see it. "Mia," he whispered, trying to understand, "what is this place? You said it was just a club." Her smile faded a little. "I know what I said," she replied. "But this place, it's a reunion. Not a typical one. It's for people I knew years ago. People I used to do projects with, dream with, plan futures with." He frowned. "And you didn't tell me?" "I wanted you to come without thinking too much," she whispered. "If I explained, you might have said no." Before he could answer, a man approached them. Evan noticed him immediately. Tall, confident posture, well-dressed in a quiet, expensive way. He looked at Mia like someone who knew her well. "Too well. There you are," the man said warmly. "Mia, it's been forever." She greeted him with a polite smile, but stepped slightly closer to Evan. The man's eyes flicked between them. Curious, but friendly. "I'm Adrian," he said, extending a hand to Evan. "We all knew Mia back in college. This night is special for her." Evan shook his hand, but a twist formed in his stomach. Special for her? Why hadn't she told him? Why did this place feel like stepping into a chapter of her life he had never been allowed to read? Adrian continued talking, telling Mia that some old classmates were waiting to see her, that people were excited she came back. But Evan barely heard any of it. He watched Mia instead. She seemed nervous. Not scared, but as if she didn't fully belong here anymore, yet didn't want to disappoint anyone. Finally, Adrian excused himself and walked off, calling out to someone across the room. Mia let out a soft breath, as though relieved he was gone. "Evan," she said quietly, "please don't leave." "Not yet." I know this is confusing, but I need you to trust me. I do trust you, he said honestly, but I feel like you're hiding something. She looked away, pressing the envelope to her chest for a second. I'll tell you everything tonight. I promise. He wanted to ask why she was holding that envelope, like it carried her whole world, but she slipped it into her purse quickly, as if she didn't want him to see what it meant. Then she smiled a fragile smile and told him to grab a drink, listen to the music, meet some of the people she used to know. She said she needed a few minutes before she could explain everything. Then she walked away. Evan watched her cross the room and greet more familiar faces. Some hugged her, others talked with animated excitement. She looked comfortable around them, but not completely. Sometimes her eyes drifted toward him, checking if he was still there. Each time she looked away quickly, like she didn't want to reveal something too soon. He found a corner table and tried to blend in. The cello kept playing slow, emotional, almost melancholic. People around him talked quietly about old memories, opportunities, lost chances, new beginnings. It felt like everyone had a reason to be here except him. Adrian appeared again at some point and sat across from him without asking. So he said casually, "How long have you known Mia?" 7 years. Evan said. Adrian raised his brows in mild surprise. Wow, longer than I expected. She's talked about moving back east for a long time, so I didn't think she kept close friendships here. Evan blinked. Moving back east. Adrian nodded. Yeah, to New York. She told us a long time ago she'd return one day. I guess life happened. But honestly, it's good she finally made it back for this. Everyone's curious. We all thought she disappeared. Disappeared. That wasn't like her. Mia didn't disappear, she avoided things she couldn't face. Evan knew that better than anyone. Adrian gave him a friendly nod and left again. But his words stuck like a thorn in Evan's mind. Moving back east? She had never mentioned that to him, not once. In 7 years of friendship, and if she was thinking about it? What did that mean for them? When Mia returned to him later, she wasn't smiling anymore. She looked serious, almost apologetic. Evan, can we step outside for a moment? They walked out into the cold night. The city felt quieter than before. Cars passed by slowly, their reflections dancing on the wet street. Mia crossed her arms, more from nerves than the cold. I didn't bring you here by accident, she said. I needed you to see this place before I explained why. He nodded slowly. I'm listening. She pulled the envelope out of her purse but didn't open it. Her fingers traced the edge of it as if she was afraid of what was inside. I got this yesterday, she said softly. It's an offer. A real one. A job in New York. A role I once dreamed of. Something I worked 4 years ago. Before I met you, Evan felt something inside him drop. He had imagined 100 reasons she might be acting strange tonight, but not this. Not leaving Mia. Why didn't you tell me? Because, she whispered, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, or what I might lose if I said yes. Lose. The word carried weight. She stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. Everyone in that room is part of the life I built before Seattle. Before us, they're reminders of who I used to be. But you? She hesitated. You're the part of my life that changed everything. Evan didn't move, didn't breathe. The quiet city suddenly felt too loud, too sharp around them. Mia, he said gently, you should have just talked to me. I tried, she whispered, but I didn't know if you cared the way I hoped you did. You never say it. And I needed to know if I was imagining everything. Before he could respond, the door opened again. Adrian stepped outside, calling her name. His presence was a harsh reminder of the life she was being pulled toward. She looked at Adrian, then back at Evan caught in the space between two possible futures. And in that moment, Evan realized something painful. Tonight wasn't about a club. It wasn't about music or old friends. It was about a choice she had to make, and he didn't know which way she was leaning. Evan stayed outside with Mia, the cold night air brushing against their skin, carrying the distant hum of city lights. The envelope still lay hidden in her purse, a secret waiting to be revealed. He wanted to ask what was inside, but something in her eyes told him that she wasn't ready yet. There was a tension between them that felt heavier than the chilly air. A quiet weight made of unspoken words and possibilities neither wanted to name. Evan. She whispered, turning slightly to face him fully. Her breath created tiny clouds in the air. I know tonight looks confusing, and it's a lot. I need to be honest with you about why I asked you here. Her voice trembled slightly, but it was steady enough to make him focus entirely on her. He nodded, silently urging her to continue. This place, she said, glancing back toward the club behind them. It's a reunion of sorts. For old friends, people I used to know before I moved here. We shared ideas, dreams, moments, before life took us in different directions. I needed to see them again, but I also needed you to see it. Not just as someone I know, but as someone who matters to me. Evan's chest tightened. He had sensed it before, a subtle distance in her manner tonight, a hesitation. And now the pieces were starting to fall into place. This wasn't just a social event. It was a bridge between her past and their present. And he felt like he had walked onto that bridge without a clear warning. And that man inside, he said carefully, his gaze narrowing slightly. Adrian, he's part of your past, isn't he? Mia nodded. Her fingers curled around the strap of her purse as if holding onto something tangible could steady her. Yes, Adrian and I go way back. College friends. But more than that, he was always part of my life, my dreams, until everything changed. And now, seeing him again tonight, it brought back memories I didn't expect. Evan swallowed, his mind racing. He didn't want to feel jealousy. He didn't want to let her past interfere with their friendship, poor Morbut. He couldn't ignore the pang in his chest. For a moment the world seemed to shrink to just the two of them, the quiet street and the weight of her words. So why invite me? He asked, his voice calm but edged with emotion. Why not just go alone and meet your old friends? Because, Mia said softly, stepping closer, I realized that no matter what the past was, no matter the people who shaped my earlier life, I've changed. I've grown. And if I'm going to make decisions about my future, I need the person I trust most to be there. You, Evan, you're that person. I needed you to see this night, to see the other side of my life, so that you could understand why I hesitate, why I'm torn. He listened, feeling the words settle into him like seeds planted in the soil of his heart. Every gesture she made, every pause, every hesitant glance spoke volumes. This wasn't about a job or a reunion. It was about her trying to reconcile the life she had left behind with the life she wanted to build now. And whether he was part of that life? Mia took a deep breath, finally pulling the white envelope out. She held it between her hands as if it carried the weight of the world. I got this yesterday, she said. It's a job offer. New York, a career I've wanted for years. It's the kind of chance most people only dream about. But it's complicated, because accepting it means leaving everything here behind, my old friends, the life I've started to build in Seattle. And potentially, Evan felt his stomach twist. He had known her for years, and he had always hoped their bond was unshakable. But hearing her words laid bare made him realize the fragility of hope. The envelope wasn't just paperweight, was a crossroads, a choice that could change everything between them. Why tell me now? He asked, his voice low. Why not wait until you made the decision? Because I don't want to decide alone, Mia said, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I've been running through scenarios in my mind for weeks, imagining what it would be like with Adrian, with my old friends, with this career. And every time I keep coming back to you. But I needed to know if what I feel for you is real, if it's enough to stay, if it's enough to fight for us. And that's why I asked you to come tonight. Evan stepped closer. The tension between them had grown electric, the night cold but heavy with emotion. Mia, he said, you could have just told me. You didn't need a reunion, a man from your past, or a special night to make me understand. I care about you. I've always cared about you. You don't have to guess that. She looked at him, tears now brimming in her eyes, and for a moment, the world seemed to pause. The distant sounds of cars and the faint hum of the city faded into nothing. It was just the two of them standing in the cold night. Hearts beating faster than the surrounding world could notice. "I've been scared," she admitted. "Scared that if I choose this, I'll lose you. And scared that if I don't choose it, I'll regret not taking the chance of a lifetime. And here you are, and all I can think about is, what if my life is better with you than without it? What if the life I dreamed of isn't as important as the life I could have with you?" Evan reached out slowly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. He could feel the tremor in her fingers, her hesitation, the vulnerability she rarely allowed herself to show. "Mia," he said gently, "you don't have to choose alone. I'm here. We can figure this out together. The past is the past, Adrian and your friends. They're part of who you were. But I want to be part of who you are now. If you let me." Her breath caught. She stepped closer, letting herself feel the warmth of him standing so near. The envelope in her hand seemed to shrink in importance compared to the moment between them. Her heart pounded in her chest, not from fear, but from the possibility of love finally being acknowledged. A feeling spoken aloud that had been buried under years of hesitation and fear. "But it's not just that," she said softly. "This offer, it's everything I've worked for. I can't ignore it. It's my chance to do what I've dreamed of. And yet part of me is terrified that it would pull me away from what really matters. From you." Evan nodded, understanding her completely. "I know. And I don't want you to give up your dreams. But dreams don't always mean leaving people behind. If this is something that matters to you, we'll find a way to make it work together. You and me." Mia's eyes filled with tears she no longer tried to hide. She laughed softly, a mixture of relief and disbelief. "You make it sound so simple. But tonight, walking in there, seeing Adrian, seeing the friends I haven't seen in years, it was like stepping into a life I left behind. I wasn't sure if I belonged there anymore." "You belong wherever you want to," Evan said, reaching out to gently hold her hands. "And right now, I hope you belong here with me." The night felt suspended in time. They stood in the empty street, the city around them, quiet, almost respectful of the moment. Evan saw in her eyes the conflict that had driven her all these years, the pull of ambition, the comfort of old friendships, and the undeniable connection they shared. He felt the same pull, not for the past, not for what could have been, but for the person standing right in front of him. Mia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the envelope in her hand lessen. "Evan, I don't know what tomorrow holds. I can't promise the job won't change things, but I can promise that tonight, right here, this moment, I know I want you in it. And maybe that's enough to figure out everything else." He smiled, feeling a wave of relief mixed with anticipation. "That's more than enough." Just then, the door behind them opened again. Adrian stepped out, calling her name in a friendly tone. Mia glanced at him, torn between the life she once knew and the life that awaited her with Evan. She looked back at Evan, her eyes full of vulnerability and hope. Two possibilities. One life in the past. One life in the present. And one choice that could define both of their futures. Evan took her hand, squeezing it gently. "We'll face it together," he said. "Whatever comes next." She nodded, letting herself trust him completely for the first time that night. The envelope still waited, the future still uncertain. But the bond between them, stronger than unspoken words and unshared dreams, had been acknowledged. And for a moment, the city felt quiet enough for just the two of them. Standing under the soft glow of the streetlights, hearts beating in sync. Aware that love sometimes doesn't come with instructions, only with the courage to take the first step together. Tonight wasn't about old friends. It wasn't about missed opportunities. It was about understanding, connection, and the fragile, beautiful courage it takes to let someone into your life, fully past, present, and future, all tangled together. And though tomorrow would bring decisions, choices, and challenges, tonight they had each other. That was enough to begin.